How's it going, prospectors? So you're new to Fortuna 3, huh? Well, you're in for a world of hurt if you aren't prepared for what's ahead, and this video should help you get to where you need to be. Now, I would hate to see you get foamed for no reason down there, and I'm sure you feel the same. So with that, let's jump straight in and get all you prospectors ready for a wild ride through the storms on Fortuna 3. What's good, guys? This is Bagby PT here. I'm going to be offering a bit of advice today on the nuances of the cycle. A lot of these things are things that I learned while playing the cycle during Season 3, and some of these things are things that I wish I had known right off the bat, which would have helped me succeed and ultimately grow within the game. We'll be covering a lot of information in this video today, so please stay tuned and you just might learn a thing or two. Alright, first things first, let's talk a little bit about what the cycle is and what the cycle isn't. The cycle is what's referred to as a competitive quest shooter. This term has been coined by the developers themselves, and what that means is that the game itself is meant to be played more as a PvE/VP game where the center of attention should be focused on the PvE element. Now, that PvE element is what lets you earn the victory points within each match, and so that ultimately is what you need to be focusing on every game in order to win. One of those VP sources can actually be seen here, which is killing monsters at the evac site. Alright, so one of the first things you're going to want to do when you get in game is you're going to want to hit the Q button. What that's going to do is it's going to bring up this menu right here. Ultimately, what you're going to be focusing on the most as a new player is going to be your loadout tab. And so in that loadout tab is going to be different weapons and abilities and other things that you're going to be equipping so that your prospector can be well equipped once you get into a game. One of the main things I want to focus on is going to be your suit selection. Now, your suit selection, you have 4 suits to select from. The 2 that I think you should really focus on the most as a beginner are going to be the Boxer Warsuit and the Dragonfly suit. Now, these 2 are a little bit different from each other in the way that you're going to be jumping around the map and using your charge ability, but I would like for you guys to go experiment with either of those 2 suits and figure out which one you like best. I personally like the Boxer Warsuit as it's got a little bit more health and it's a little tankier, but you guys might like something else. So the guns that are here are also some of the things that you're going to see, especially as a beginner. You're not going to have any of these attachments on them, but over time you will unlock those with some of the crypto that you're going to be earning in-game. Now, an important feature of this menu is also within the Play tab. Now, down here on the bottom right, you're going to see a tab called Virtual Training. This is a very useful area, especially for beginners. It's something that I wish I had known a little bit more about when I had started. So in this area, you can actually go over to the shooting range. And here in the shooting range, you have access to a target on your left that will keep track of the last 10 seconds worth of damage that you deal to it, which is really handy if you're trying to determine whether or not your gun is really performing the way that you want it to. In addition to this, you can actually even change the target movement over there at the screen. The nice thing about this, though, is that you can try out any stock weapon or any ability that is in the game if you walk up and down this pathway that's right in front of you when you spawn in here. So you can select any gun that's on the ground, any ability that's there. You can test it out, try it out, and see how you like it before you go into an actual match, or spend your crypto on it that you've earned by playing the game. So this is a really handy area for new players to kind of understand the intricacies of what their loadout does. The other thing, as I was talking about earlier, your suit abilities. So the charge ability for the Dragonfly suit is actually one that revolves around slamming into the ground. And so you can test that out here and kind of get a feel for your suit here as well. And it's a pretty handy little area. Alright, so now when you're in a game and you want to actually purchase one of these weapons or these abilities that you're seeing around me, you're going to hit the G button by default, and that's going to bring up this menu here. Now this menu will allow you to buy your weapons in-game using the credits that you've earned by killing monsters or doing other missions around the map. You can buy your weapons, your abilities, and your ride to get around the map on. Now this is really nice using this functionality in the training zone because you can actually get the specific weapons with the modifications and everything that you would have in your loadout here in the training area, and test out the damage output and maybe the handling on it, and see if you actually would like it before you go out and take it up against the other prospectors. Additionally, as a beginner, something I did not know was that you can actually upgrade your weapon in game. Every match you'll have to do this, but you can upgrade your weapon in game by paying a set number of credits, and each weapon has 2 upgrades. And so usually the first one for the PDW, for example, is going to be your range upgrade, and then your second upgrade is going to be your damage upgrade. Additionally, there are upgrades for your abilities as well. So your turret that you might have, you can get your turret and then you can upgrade it, which is going to reduce the ability cooldown time for that ability, which is really handy. And then a handy tip for the menu here is that the inventory button is in fact clickable, and you can select that and go there to either switch the order of your weapons, switch around your abilities. You can even drop your weapon or your abilities if you feel like you need to drop it. I haven't needed to do that too often, except for when I was maybe trading a gun with a teammate or something like that. But it is a pretty handy little menu that you may not know about. So once you're finished up in the shooting range, you can actually go back over to this kiosk here to get out, or you can exit back to the station. It's up to you depending upon what you're trying to do. But the next thing that I'm going to show you actually is going to take us back to the hub. And in the hub, it's actually a pretty interesting location. You can actually go through and select a kiosk for any possible mission that you might encounter during your time on Fortuna 3 and test out all of your weapons in those different scenarios. So you have an idea of not only what the missions are, but you can test your exact loadout and how it would handle those scenarios given a different situation and how many enemies and that sort of thing. And so it's a really handy tool to get more familiar with some of the missions, as you might not run into them as frequently as you'd like. And so it gives you a little bit of practice space to go in, take all of your gear with pretty much unlimited funds to buy your gear, and then run a quick run through of maybe a mining mission like I've got here, or one of the other missions that are available to you. Let's head back to the station now and prepare a loadout for our next run. So like I said earlier, I do prefer the Boxer Warsuit, so I'll go ahead and select that. And if you want a great weapon for PvE fighting, it's going to be the Scarab with the phase repeater and the chain reaction modifications applied to it. So once I go ahead and have either purchased those and equipped all of that onto the gun, I'm going to equip it to my loadout. And then another gun that I highly recommend, which is a relatively cheap gun to equip that's going to be good for PvP, is going to be the Gorgon, with a few loadouts that help it have lower spin up time and a increased weak spot damage, which is really useful when you're fighting against prospectors and you're able to hit those headshots. Another weapon that I highly recommend is going to be the Comrade. You'll see me use it quite a bit on stream, and the 2 mods that I run on it are the Big Bertha and the projectile speed modifications. Now that you've got your loadout all set, the next thing that you need to do is you need to just play your first match. You have 2 options. You can either play a virtual match, which will just be by yourself with no other players, or you can play against other people. And that's in either solo mode, duo mode, or squads of teams of 4. The screen that you'll be greeted by when you enter into a match against other players is the reputation screen. Now this screen is the screen that allows you to select which faction you'd like to pledge your respect to and earn points during that match, so that you can ultimately unlock the weapons that they have in each of their stores. So you have Korolev faction, the Osiris faction, and the ICA faction. One of the first things you need to do when you get into a match is you need to look at the wall on either side of the pre-game lobby. This will tell you what objectives and missions you're going to need to focus on during that match. And so what that'll also let you do is it'll kind of let you plan, and your team plan, what you need to be doing and focusing on during that game. As soon as you drop down into the match, what you need to do is you need to take a look at the map in game. Now what you'll see immediately are the objectives placed out on the map, and so this is a great time for you to start planning your route with your teammates or by yourself to determine what you need to be focusing on and what objectives you need to be taking immediately. One of the biggest things you want to focus on early is to get credits. And so that's killing monsters, finding valuable VP missions that will give you money, such as salvage drones because there's a ton of monsters to kill, or maybe a large extreme mining site that you can go after for Veltasite. Those things are very high ticket items with respect to both credits and VP early on. And so that will enable you to then buy your more expensive guns and your abilities to let you survive engagements that you might potentially come into with other prospectors. To figure out which missions you need to be focusing on the most, take a look at the left-hand side of the screen when you're in a match. On the left side of the screen, what you'll see is a list of each mission that you need to complete during that match. To the right of that mission name is going to be the associated VP value that you will get for the current level of that mission that you are completing. So let's say you're on the first level of mining Veltasite. The more Veltasite you mine for that level will earn you X amount of VP, depending upon what is on the right side of that box. As you mine more and more Veltasite and increase the level that you are on that mission, the associated VP value will also increase. So that's the best way for you to determine what you need to be focusing on in a game. Now that I've gone over a lot of the basics, I want to discuss a little bit about what you're going to be doing after the match. And that's going to revolve around you spending your crypto that you've earned in that match to unlock both your weapons and your modifications for those weapons, as well as abilities from the different factions. Now, depending upon the amount of reputation that you've gained with each faction will determine what you can and cannot purchase from them. And ultimately, once you get them all to level 10, you'll be able to purchase any item from them that they might sell. Alright, now that you're out of your match, you can check how much crypto you have at the top of your screen, and you can use that crypto at any of the 3 factions that you might want to unlock a weapon for. The 3 factions are located to the left is Korolev, and to the right is Osiris and ICA. Once you've located these, you can talk to them and determine what they're selling and what reputation level you need to have them at in order to unlock that particular weapon or ability. In addition to the reputation, you'll also need enough crypto to actually purchase the ability or the weapon. Now that I've pretty much covered a lot of the basics, hopefully you guys are better equipped and prepared to venture out onto Fortuna 3, and hopefully you guys learned a few things that you might not have known, and I appreciate you guys stopping by to check out the video. If you want, please come check me out at Twitch. I will include the link at the end of this video, and I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week. See you soon, prospectors.